Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Knox Makers Tuesday night open hack and show and share. My name is Sean. If you've never been here before, show of hands if it's your first time here at Knox Makers. Okay, well, welcome. Our Tuesday nights are a chance to gather and talk about things we've made and things we are making or things we're stuck on, and even things that we have failed at, and just gives us a chance to see what everybody else is doing and see all the neat things that we're doing. But speaking of failures, let's get tonight kicked off with Isaac, who is showing off a failure.
I got a heaping help and a failure for you. Trying to get more of this failure stuff going on Tuesday nights. This little dude right here is called a Shelly 1, and this is a little home automation gizmo. You can install this inside like a light switch box or where you have an outlet or a lamp. It's got a little relay that can then control the device, and it will connect to your Wi-Fi so it becomes smart and you can tell it to do things. These are great. I love them. I have entirely too many of them in my house. And I was recently installing one in the garage in association with a garage door opener, which I hadn't done previously. As you may know, a garage door opener will have like two little wires that come off of it, and you can hang a switch off of it. So you can put it on the wall, push the button to open or shut the door. And so I figured those two wires could go to this relay, and then the Shelly 1 can control my garage door, and that'll be boss. But, I'm working above my head. I'm on a ladder. It's really stuffy in the garage. The sun is in my eyes, etc. And I wired up the power to it backwards. And so I remember thinking to myself, was that a wisp of smoke that came out of that thing? But, it's like it's a white ceiling, and so there's not a lot of contrast. And I wasn't entirely sure. And then it burst into flames. And it melted right through the plastic of the box. And, the molten plastic dripped onto my person, and, it hurt. And really, though, it was just the shock of seeing something literally burst into flames in front of you. And it occurred to me that that's something that you don't actually experience that often, I mean, I'm really spoiled when it comes to electronics. My electronic devices usually fail in a very genteel way. They just sort of stop, or maybe there is that little puff of smoke that signifies failure, but that's generally it. To be fair, the instructions for these things do tell you in no uncertain terms there is no reverse polarity protection. If you hook this up backwards, bad things will happen. And of course, I didn't do it on purpose. I guess they're designing these things to be as physically small as possible so you can find a way to stuff them inside that box, with all the wires and everything. So it's hard to blame them. But it was an instructive thing for me to be reminded that things bursting into flames can happen with electronics, and I'm just a little bit too incautious sometimes. So, of course, I pulled it apart to see what actually happened in here, and it's rather dramatic. This little terminal block here is where you make all the wiring connections, of course, and sort of the first thing that happens after the power comes in is it goes through a resistor right here. Well, I'm pointing where the resistor was. It got many, many more watts than it was prepared for. And when resistors get extra watts, they warm up. And if they get lots of extra watts, then they burst into flames. And it did exactly that thing. So, I goofed up my favorite t-shirt, and I'm a little bit salty about it. But the house did not actually burn, and so it was a lesson well learned. And I thought perhaps I would share that with you.
A good reminder to not cross the streams. All right, thank you, Isaac. Coming up next, we have Roof Things by Brian. That's literally what he said. not improv.
Hey guys, I got into a new project recently. Taking a break from furniture making for a half a second. This is actually the after picture, but I figured I'd start with that. So I got this house and changing a lot of things about it. And right in the center of it, there's this chimney that runs up through the center. You can see it. Here's from the other side. It's a really large thing in the middle of my house, takes up way too much space, and I'd like there to be like closets and stuff there instead of this weird chimney that's not actually connected to anything anymore. So I decided to take it and another one down, and I just had the thought that I don't know how many people have done a roof repair. It's been a while since I'd done it, so figured I'd just walk through the steps with you guys. So this is the chimney sticking up through the top of the roof. Taking one down is actually a lot easier than what you would expect. It's kind of a miracle. They don't just fall over all the time. Just a couple love taps with some hammers, you can pull individual bricks off and just lower them to the ground. So you take it down below roof line, so looks like something like this. Take it all the way down to the ceiling as much as you can get from the top is a lot easier than working above your head from underneath. And then you can start stripping back some of the shingles. So if there's any roofers in the building, you'll know that this house was actually roofed incorrectly the first time. And you can see that because your stagger is only one tab apart. There should be one additional stagger to this. You never want all of your seams to line up. This is much more likely to cause a leak in the future. So today I'm just patching it. Eventually I'll go back and re-roof the whole thing and actually solve this problem. But if you're roofing your house for the first time, don't do it this way. So you strip them all back, you pull all your nails and staples and everything like that out. Cut out your felt paper, it goes underneath. It's felt paper, not tar paper. It's around about the same thing, but if you're ever looking at it. It's easiest to square up the hole, so it's kind of hard to see here, but snap a line and then you can cut it. You can put some new trusses in underneath there, at least scarf them in. And then I forgot to take a picture of where you put the OSB cladding back down on it, but because this was an old house and it had like true 1-inch thick lumber, I had to use 2 sheets of it. And you tack your felt paper back down. You always start at the bottom and work your way up, assuming that water always gets in, so it'll get onto the top one and then run its way out. Then you try to get shingles that match close enough. They never will on an older property because they get bleached in time, so the one that it was originally, which would have been this color, just never matches, you know, a couple decades later. I took this picture so that you guys could see what the nail pattern is supposed to look like on this. So on a full shingle, you should always have 4 nails. They should go 1 inch above that little tab strip right there. If you bring them down too far, you'll start to see them. If you bring them up too far, you won't hit the shingle underneath. It's also hitting the second shingle. So these are the details that keep your shingles from flying off when the wind picks up. Also, if you go right through that tar strip that's there, it'll self-seal and you'll know you're in the correct spot. If you're ever doing a short shingle, you should always put at least 3 nails in it, even if you have to put a couple in the center. And as you're doing this, you're also having to nail up underneath all of these shingles on the side. So you're pulling them when you start, you have to remember to actually put them back in. When you're all done, it looks relatively seamless, kind of cool. And then taking the rest of the chimney down from underneath, I just figured I'd show you this because it's kind of fun anyway, and destroying things is fun. This is an enormous amount of work when you go to take these things out. There's a lot of bricks in them. I took out, was it 14,000 pounds worth of material this past 3 days or something like that. Most of it was this chimney. So you can see it taken all the way down below the surface. So I have a little bit more to go there. Then you can put the floor joists back in and everything like that. But just opens the room way up. Kind of cool. Anyways, figure you guys get a kick out of it. So that's it.
Was your chimney failing?
What's that?
Was it like falling down?
No, it just wasn't connected to anything, and I'd rather there be a closet there than a big mountain of bricks. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, Brian. All right, and last I have on my list is Keith with a car tracker.
So I usually come with completed projects. This is the first time I've ever come with something that isn't done yet. And this is just the start. This is completely off the shelf. It's a combination of GPS, cellular, microprocessor, and the idea here is to put it in a car and be able to track the car, be able to eventually track all the performance variables of the car through the onboard diagnostics, see what's going on. I have kids all over the country, and send it to them, and I always get the call, "Oh, Dad, the idiot light came on. What do I do?" And the first thing is to walk them through things. And this to do that remotely. So actually, the core of it is, I don't know, it's really tough to see here, but it's this little 1-inch by 1-inch circuit board that has all of that. The carrier board is really helping the prototype. It's got the antennas on it, both the GPS and the cellular. It's got the microprocessor that's actually not doing anything right now. I just got it all set up. There's a lot of configuration you need to do. You need to configure the board, and then there's a website that you need to configure the communication and the back ends. And then actually, I just got this going. Let me see. It's good enough. So this is a completely unassociated website that provides like dashboard services for free. And I have it all wired up now. So kind of have the basics. And as I said, the next step at this point is to hook into the onboard diagnostics of the car and start to read those values. Going to replace, this microcontroller with something with some display capabilities and have it all wired together. So just a start, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Is that a featherboard I saw on there?
It's a featherboard on top of it. It comes bundled. There's actually a microprocessor on the core board itself that is completely self-contained. Yeah.
How are you going to remotely manage these boards?
The cellular service, this board actually comes with up to 10 years, 500 megabytes of service, completely bundled with the cost of the board, and it's both ways. So you can.
Is it command line or web GUI?
Both. Yeah. Most of the time on the board you're doing CLI, and then at the back end you're obviously doing a web GUI. Yeah.
You say you're going to upgrade the processor, the microprocessor. What are you using for right now, the microcontroller?
The microcontroller is just dead right now. It came bundled with the board. It's a ESP32, so kind of a middle of the road kind of thing.
But you were wanting to get something that's got some video output.
Not video, but just TFT LCD on there. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, thanks.
Very cool. All right, is there anyone else who had something to share that didn't get on the list? All right, I saw first hand go up there.
Hey guys, my name's Cooper. I've was a member for a while, and I took a little break to finish up school. But while I was gone, I managed to put together a tool changer on my 3D printer. So right now, I'm able to print in 2 different colors or 2 different materials right now. And I've got a little. See if I can get this working. So right now, the hot end is not like screwed onto the actual machine, but it's just attached with magnets and this fancy little coupler here. And after it's done using one color, it will actually go over here and it'll stick the tool on its little rack and pull itself off, and then go over and pick up the next nozzle. And so every single layer, it will switch from one to the other and print in orange and white in different things. And I know there's the reason I kind of chose to do this instead of having one that just put different filaments into the nozzle is you can actually use incompatible materials with each other. So one thing is I haven't gotten to do too much work with it, but like PLA and PETG don't stick together very well at all. So you can actually use one as a support material and the other as the main material, and they just break right off, and you don't have to do any sort of like cleanup afterwards. So this is kind of just what I've been working on recently, and right now I'm just working on getting it cleaned up. It's a huge mess of wires right now, but it's been really fun, and I'm really excited about it. That was about all I had. If y'all want to see, I can pass these prints around, and y'all can take a look at them.
Very cool. All right, and then I saw another hand. All right, you're up.
let's see here. So this is a simple circuit. I've been playing around a lot with wearable electronics recently. And I've discovered selling plasma as a little hobby of mine, stuff like that. And I've had an issue of remembering to pump my hand. You know, I gotta remember to pump your hand to keep the plasma flowing, or else you get a no-flow error code. That means no blood is going to the machine. So I'm like, all right. So I've got a problem. How can I fix it? So the idea is I'm trying to make a wearable glove that will change color codes. It's red if my hand is in straight, and if my hand is in compression, it's going to turn green, right? So if I'm red, I need to keep pumping. So that's the idea. And I'm getting inconsistent results right now from my sensor, but as you can see, I'm bending the sensor just going from red to green, just like that. That's simulating the flex of my fingers. So that's the basic idea. So yeah, it's a work in progress right now. If you want me to pass around, that's.
What sensor are you using?
I am using just a flex sensor, I don't know what it's called or anything. It's just a bendable analog sensor, you know. So yeah, that's it. That's all I have.
What are you using as the conductor? Like, is that wire, or do you have some kind of?
This is conductive thread.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this is a conductive thread. I've gotten addicted to the Adafruit conductive thread that they sell on this site. And so that's what I'm using to conduct the electricity. So yeah, and you have to be very careful and not to cross the wires, or if you have a little bit of a fray in your wire, it's not going to work. You have to sit there and look, is everything separate? It's, yeah, it's, so yeah, it's. No, it won't do that. I haven't seen it do that, but you know, anything's possible, I guess, with electronics. But yeah, that's basic gist. So thank you.
We've actually done fabric circuits before, and they've been very fun, but also very fickle. So we definitely get that. Anybody else who didn't get on the list? Once, twice, gone. All right, we have some announcements, just a couple. We have our merch site, if you haven't heard, where you can get all things Knox Makers branded at swag.knoxmakers.org or merch.knoxmakers.org. You can go there and get anything from shirts to bags to a very overpriced teddy bear. So I blame John Dell for that. Also, we need some volunteers to help take out trash and change air filters tonight, and we can get those after the meeting, get those out to the dumpster. And then we have a few classes coming up that still have tickets left. This Thursday, the 26th at 6, we have the blacksmithing authorization. So if you want to learn how to do some forging, he's running that, and that's Thursday at 6. On Friday at 7, Woodworking 101. There's still some tickets left for that. The TIG Welding 201 class is sold out for this Saturday. But is there more coming? Oh, next month. Okay. So you can grab your tickets then. Also, if you haven't heard, new members have to attend a new members onboarding as a qualification for membership. And there is one of those coming up at the end of the month on the 31st at 7:30. So come on out, and that'll be a good time, and learn about Knox Makers and how to be a good member. So with that ends tonight's show and share presentation. We're just going to open up the workshop and do open chat, so hang out, and thank you for coming.